We have people.
Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. Where the Spirit waits with open arms, it's calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. You'll find a place of rest in the arms of Spirit. It's waited so long for your homecoming day. It knows the peace you need and the hurt you're feeling. We want to hold you and to wipe your tears away. When the door's unlocked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in. There is room enough in the home of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. 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 Come on in.
Stand to your feet. We're going to sing the Christmas classic, Joy to the World.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let every sing our King. Let every heart prepare Him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of His righteousness, and wonders of His law, and wonders of His law, and wonders of His love.
Well, happy holidays. Please be seated if you're in the room, and get comfortable if you're joining us on video. Welcome to Unity of Wilmington. We are a spiritual community located in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it is our pleasure to welcome you into sacred space, a time of celebration, a time of joy, and for those of us in the house, a time of being together, of recognizing friends, and connecting heart to heart. In this spiritual community, we invite you three very important truths about yourself. The first is you are a beloved expression of God. The second is that you are here for a holy purpose. It may not always feel like you're here for a holy purpose, but the truth of you is here by divine appointment. So you are always, and this is the third truth, you are always in the right place at the right time, right now. Thank you for being with us at this time.
angels are calling like bells in the distance. We were dreamers not so long ago, but one by one we all had to grow up. When it seems the magic slipped away, we find it all again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying. Hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste. There's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. Trains move quickly to their journey's end. Destinations are where we begin again. Ships go sailing far across the sea, trusting starlight to get where they need to be. When it seems that we have lost our way, we find ourselves again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying. Hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste. There's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside and give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. If you just believe. Just believe. Just believe.
Heather Setzler, thank you so much for being here, and Katie Deese on the piano, and all of you in the room, and all of you who are on live stream. Thank you for your presence today. What a joy to be this way together with you in all the ways that we are. What do you believe? What do you believe about this season? Have you become jaded? Or are you still in that childlike wonder? What is it for you? And whatever it is for you, don't make it wrong. Just let it be a notice, an observation, rather than a judgment. We're doing Christmas movie classics. So today we're doing the Polar Express. You might have already guessed that from the whole song that came from the movie. Have you seen it? Yes or no? Yes. I think it's a beautiful movie. And if you're online, if you've seen it, say yes or no to us. I'll come back and answer you. It's an interesting story of Christmas. It's really a story about remembering how to believe. It's about a young boy whose name is never actually identified in the credits. He's called Hero Boy. It makes me think of Joseph Campbell and his hero's journey. He's called Hero Boy, and he's struggling. He's challenged by some of the things he sees outside of himself around Christmas, that there is no Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is going on a strike and all of that. And yet there's something inside of him that has this longing to believe in the magic and the mystery of Santa, of Christmas, of love. He's beginning that point that some of us come to being jaded. But he's still open to wonder. He is still open to wonder. And he tells his little sister, I was a little sister, so I know what it's like to be on the little sister side. I honestly don't know what it's like to be on the big brother side. But he tells his little sisters there's no Santa Claus. And yet he's still challenged by the belief, because we see him in bed and he's listening deeply. Am I going to hear the sleigh bells ring? Am I going to hear Santa come into my home? And he's listening intently. And what starts to happen? He starts to hear this rumble. He starts to hear this rumble. And then all of a sudden, his room is shaking. And like any young boy, well, I think like any young boy, at least I would have done it, got up and he looked out the window, and what's in front of his house? This incredible train. And so he grabs his robe and he rushes down and he hops on the train. He gets on it. And he starts to take this beautiful, magical, mystical ride. And if you haven't seen the movie, the sets and the animation is incredible. And he takes this ride. And there's all these other children around. And if you watch the movie, they're composites of ourselves. There's a know-it-all. Do you guys have that in you? I have that in me. But there is a know-it-all. And then there's somebody who's very kind and considerate and thinks of others all the time. And then there's this little boy, and the train makes this unexpected stop. And there's a little boy, he wants to get on, and you can see his desire to get on. And yet he doesn't. And then at the last minute, as the train begins to pull away, he starts to walk fast, and then he starts to run, and then he falls down. And as an act of kindness, one of the kids, the hero boy, pulls the emergency brake. And the train stops and the little boy gets on. But he doesn't join the rest of the people. He goes into an empty car by himself. We don't know what he's thinking. But the times where I haven't joined the rest of the people, usually for me, it means I'm afraid to, because I'm afraid I'm not going to be accepted. So you see my projection onto the movie. What would your projection be? If you came into a train car and here's all these people in one car that are, well, the people, they're your age, they're having a good time, how would you be? Would you go in and enjoy it and know you're going to be accepted? Would you be hesitant in going in? Or would you turn and go the other way? What would you do? Take a moment and think about that. We each have a pattern in our own lives of what we would do. And we each believe that's true, that we did it the way we did it. We may have a longing for something different, but we would think that, oh, this is the only way it is, because that's what we did. And we can see what we're committed to by our action, by what we do. And the train starts up again. And the little boy, the hero boy who pulled the emergency brake, gets a talking to. Did you ever get one as a kid? I got a few. I got a lot, actually. Because there's a part of me that stands firm in what I believe. And that young man stood firm in what he believed. And he was willing to take the consequence. Another life lesson. It's a beautiful movie. I don't want to go too much further because I don't want to ruin the movie for you. But those of you who have seen it, you're probably already thinking ahead. But I want to show you, I want to share with you These are the three basic thoughts, and we'll be talking about more than these, but the power of believing, the value of friendship, and the beauty of being kind to each other. The power of believing. Our belief comes from our thoughts. We think things, and we think things, and we have a collection of these thoughts, and they form a belief, and of course we believe our belief. We believe our belief. Now, you and I may have different beliefs, but we usually believe we're right. We usually believe we're right. So I believe my belief. And what I do is I manifest in the world my belief. So if I were that young boy who thought, oh, I won't be accepted if I walk into that car, I would go into the other car. And there have been times in my life that I have done that, thinking, oh, well, it's mine to be back here in an empty car. And I would have experienced the loneliness. Because in conjunction with the loneliness would have been the desire to be with others. Because really, I'm kind of an extrovert in a lot of ways. But the belief inside of me would have stopped me. What belief do you allow to stop you, whether it's about Christmas or anything else? What belief do you allow to stop you? What obstacles do you put in your own way because of that belief? And let's not do this from a critical place within us. Let's do this from a place of, say that with me, What happens when we say, can you feel the vibration in your head? What happens is we begin to open the pathways neurologically so we can expand our thinking process and think a little bit differently. It's an actual experience. Try it on. Sometimes we have to do it a few times to get that sensation, but it begins that opportunity to look at our beliefs without looking at them from a judgmental or critical point of view. It assists us to open to wonder, to curiosity. And isn't that what the Christmas season is about? Wonder and curiosity, the wonder of his love. The wonder of the love of Jesus, the love of God, which is within us already. It's always been with us. It's the very core of who we are. But are we opening to that wonder in every moment? Are we allowing ourselves to consider how it could be different if we shifted a belief within us? Our beliefs come from a lot of different places. They come from our environment. I grew up in a family where my dad was a university professor. So I had to get good grades because I believed my mother would take me out if I didn't. I mean, I really believed that I would be in serious trouble and be grounded for the rest of the time I lived at home if I didn't make good grades. So you know I made good grades because I'm here today to prove it. I worked at it. I believed my brother Steve, who's 3 years older than me, was brilliant, a genius, because he didn't have to study to make good grades. I later learned that my IQ is higher than his. But my belief system carried me. It took me, and I learned that belief in my family. And so there are certain beliefs that we begin in our environment with our families, and we don't know that we're taking on beliefs, that we're putting them inside of us, that we're taking them on, and it's like we're just dropping them in until we come up against a belief that's different. For example, in my family, we opened our presents on Christmas Eve. I don't even remember. I was thinking about this for the last few days, how my mom and dad worked in Santa Claus, other than Santa Claus came early to our house for some reason, probably because the world was so big that it would take light years to be able to hit every house. And they told us something that we believed, but for all of my growing up life and the entire time I lived at home, we opened our presents on Christmas Eve. I remember being stunned that my cousins opened their presents on Christmas morning. I couldn't imagine. How come you do that? And they were like, well, how come you do that? and we couldn't answer each other, really. So we come up against different beliefs. And when we're entrenched in our own beliefs, it's hard to bridge the gap at times. Or we can open up to curiosity and to wonder and begin to ask questions. You may have heard the story of the man who asked his wife why she cuts the pot roast in half and puts it in 2 pans. And she says, I don't know. That's how my mom did it. That's how my grandmother did it. See, that's how we learn in our families, from observing what happened and what we were doing. And so eventually they go and they ask the mom, how come you cut the pot roast? And she says, I don't know. My mother did it. So here we see the generational beliefs that move through our lives. And the mom goes back to her mom. She had the ability to do that. And the mom says, well, my oven was so small, I couldn't get a whole pot roast in there, so I had to cook it in 2 separate ways. So she cut it up and put it in 2 pans, and she was able to cook it. So we take on beliefs that sometimes we don't take the time to examine. So my invitation to you today and throughout this week particularly is to examine your beliefs. What do you hold as true? What do you value? Our beliefs build our values, and our beliefs are what we perceive the world with. They create our worldview. And so when I'm seeing something out there that I don't like, it's my job, I believe, to come in here, look in my heart, look up here, think about my experiences and see, well, where does that come from in me? Because 2 people can see the same event and have a totally different experience of that event. That was the first time, and I was way into my adulthood when I started to really get this. Oh, you see the world differently than me. Oh, you see the world differently than me. So not everybody sees the world the way I see it. And it may sound like I was a little slow. I might have been. I was probably, had my nose in a book because I had to make those good grades. But I didn't always see what was around me. And I didn't always see how other people had a different experience of the same event that I did. And I was entrenched and stuck in my belief. And so as I opened up and started saying, wow, you have a different experience, and you have a different experience, and you have a different experience. Oh, where does my experience come from? It generated a question for me. Where does my experience come from? And I would like you to generate that same question for you today. Where does my experience of the holiday season come from? Does it come from something that was hurtful and painful that it's time to release and let go? It's part of what the mystic Rumi, the poet, says about look for all the ways that we have obstacles of love within us. And when we find them, simply release them. Are we looking for the obstacles of love? Are we looking for someone else to change so that we feel better about ourselves? All of that is underpinned. It's an underpinning of beliefs. And all of that is changeable. Because when we start to focus on a belief, when it comes to light, then the possibility of transformation is present. We must have a level of self-awareness to have a possibility of transformation. And then let's take a moment and let's look at the value of friendship. Who are your friends? Really your friends? Who are they? And do you tell them enough that you appreciate the friendship? Do you tell them enough that you love them? And there's lots of ways to tell them. You could tell them with your words, which is something we all need to hear regularly. I love you, or I appreciate you. I'm so happy in this friendship. Thank you for being my friend. It kind of seems silly at times, but we forget. We forget based on all the experiences that we have in our life. And so when we can be aware of our relationships and say, oh, I appreciate you. what happens? What happens when somebody says, I appreciate you? Turn to somebody here that you care about and say, I appreciate you. And you who are watching, those of you who are watching, I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence here because I know your presence here makes a difference. And notice what's happening in your heart. And you guys who are online, the people in the room are smiling more. They're smiling more. Doesn't it make your heart open up when we share I love you with somebody? When we share I appreciate with you. I'm honored to be your friend. I'm so happy we're friends. And it can seem kind of middle schoolish because we have lost our sense of wonder. We've lost our sense of curiosity. And we've had experiences where somebody says, okay, so what? But let's move past those experiences. No matter what the response is from the other side, let's be the one. Let's be the one that says, I love you. Let's be the one that says, I appreciate you. Let's be the one that has the highest frequency in the room. The value of friendship. My very first Christmas that I was alone, I was 22 years old. I had moved to New York City in September of that year, and it was December, but luckily I had made some friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for Christmas? I'm alone, my family, I didn't have the money to go back home. I also didn't have the time off from my work to go back home. And somebody said to me, hey, I can't get the time off from my work, and I can't go home and see my family because of time. Do you want to eat together? We'll watch something on TV. And soon there was a group of us that was spending Christmas Day together. The value of friendship. We bonded that day. I didn't know them very well. I hadn't been in New York City very long. But I knew them enough that they invited me to come. And we watched some Christmas movie. It's a Wonderful Life, I think is what we watched. It was a wonderful day. And it could have been a horrible day for me. But the value of friendship and the power of my choosing to move past my belief that Christmas must be with family assisted me, supported me in opening up to being with the family that I created in that day. And we still have a connection. Thank goodness for Facebook, because we still have a connection on Facebook, those of us who were there. And we carried that connection across the years. And believe me, that was a lot of years ago. But we have the possibility within us, because of who we are and because of our abilities to make friends, to create family anywhere. We have a belief that family's my mom and dad, my brothers and my sisters. Well, I don't have any sisters, so for me it'd be my mom and dad and my brothers. And I do love them, and I appreciate them. And my family has opened up. It has opened up to be a broad family that is actually all across the world, with people that I connect with, people I talk to, people I value. And so whenever I feel loneliness inside of me, I have a choice. I can stay with it, and there's nothing wrong with staying with it and working it through. Or I can reach out. I can reach out and touch, talk to, be present with, support, and be with. The value of friendship. So my invitation to you on this point is to make a list of your friends and tell each and every one of them how much you value them. And the ones who have moved on into pure positive energy, tell them from your heart, you know, I miss you and I love you and I'm so honored to have been your friend. We have the capacity to be in joy all the time and allow our joy to wrap around the loneliness, the sadness that sometimes emerges for people in the season. We have that capacity to use what's already within us to wrap around. The children in the movie developed bonds quickly. Even the know-it-all got to hang out with the hero boy and the hero girl and Billy, the one child who was actually named. Who are we hanging out with? Are we hanging out with people that are raising our energy up and supporting us? I hope so. I hope that when you walk away from this spiritual community, that you feel more uplifted than when you walked in here. I hope that when you spend time with your best friend or your bestest friend, as some of us have, I hope that when you walk away, you feel uplifted, that you feel joy in your heart and go, yes, I value that friendship. And I hope that you know when you walk away from other people who consider you their bestest friend, that you know that value of friendship. And if you don't, my invitation is to cultivate it. This is a great place to begin to cultivate like-minded people. To begin to cultivate people who are open to growth, open to learning, open to support, open to living their best lives. And then, let's look at the last one, the beauty of being kind to others. In this beautiful movie, the girl that's called Hero Girl knows that Billy is in that back car by himself. And there's, as on many trains, there's refreshment. It's hot chocolate. It's a wonderful jazzy kind of tune about hot chocolate. And she saves a cup and she puts it under her chair so that when the rest of the people have finished, the rest of the kids have finished their hot chocolate, she can take it to Billy, who had not come in. She noticed, she was aware of somebody who had not received a gift that was available to them, and she offered that gift. And there's a lot of more really cool things about how these young people support themselves. Are we willing to support ourselves and each other in those same kind of ways with the acts of kindness? Are we willing to do that? Because what happens is that sometimes the most real thing in the world are things we cannot see. This is what the conductor says. Sometimes the most real things in the world are things we cannot see. I like getting presents, but I love being in the presence of others who are present. Being in the present. I believe fully that my presence is actually the greatest gift I can give to anybody. And I believe when somebody is present with me, that that's the greatest gift that they can give me. Yes, I like the stuff. The stuff is fun. But the presence of another person, the willingness to stop and take a breath and plant our feet together and just be for a moment, to not have one foot headed off to do something else. And I have to work on this, you guys. It doesn't always come easy for me. But to plant my feet, to open my heart, to tune in, because the moment I bring my attention to my heart, I bring my power to my heart. I bring my awareness to my heart. And so sometimes if I'm challenged by something, you'll see me put my hand here so that I'm bringing my own awareness to my physical body so I can remind myself, not only mentally, but I can remind myself with my action to be present. To be present, that's the greatest gift. Because when we're present with each other, that other person knows. We know it because we're actually human tuning forks. So the greatest gifts are the peace that we bring to each other, the joy that we bring to each other, the love that we bring to each other of this season and every day beyond Christmas Day. The anticipation, the curiosity, the wonder, the willingness to sit with somebody when they're challenged or struggling with something or somebody sometimes. That willingness to not try to fix it. Don't offer suggestions and advice unless it's been requested, but to simply be present with somebody. To say, I'm open, I'm willing, I'm listening. And then to do it. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, to do it. Because you think, oh, you're talking about this. Well, I did this, and I could tell you exactly what you could do if you want to. I could tell you how to fix that. But the moment we're trying to fix somebody is the moment we're seeing somebody as less than whole. We're seeing them as needing fixing. But when we simply bring our presence to someone and we listen and we wait for the request to fix something or to add advice, then we're honoring them in their wholeness, and we're honoring ourselves in our wholeness, and we're not doing a subtle version of the know-it-all. All of those characters are within us. Which one is the predominant one for you? And are you willing to shift a belief, to value your friends, and stand in a new consciousness? And yes, it takes practice, and that's okay. And then the other really cool thing is the true spirit of Christmas lies in our hearts. It's in our hearts. It's not in the hustle and the bustle and the busyness. I gave up, and this is just me, I gave up Christmas presents on the day of Christmas if I didn't have time or couldn't find the thing that I wanted to give somebody, and I just do it later. And I learned that because when I was in graduate school, I had written out my Christmas cards. I had set them on a table to take to the post office, and I had not created the time to do it. And I was flying home that year. Several years later, I was flying home. And on the plane, it dawned on me, my Christmas cards are still sitting on the table. Well, when I got back to school, it was a busy time at the beginning of the semester. And somewhere around April, I thought, oh, I should just mail them, because they already had stamps on them. And this tells you how cheap I was at the time. I did not want to give away those stamps for nothing. And I didn't really want to cut them off, the envelopes, and glue them onto other envelopes. I just thought, I'll just send them off. I got more responses to those Christmas cards than I had ever had in my life, recognizing that I didn't have to stay in the belief that this is the only day, December 25th or December 24th, depending on how you practice. So I began to open up my ideology. I began to open up my perspective and my worldview, because I began to truly know that the true meaning of Christmas was in my heart, and that I didn't have to find or follow the calendar. What a freedom that was, and what joy that was, that I could simply love. Because the core of who we are is love. The kindness that we share with each other, the listening that we do with each other, the fun that we have with each other. Are you having experiences this Christmas? Even in the midst of busyness, I'll say to Mindy, can we drive around and look at the Christmas lights? Because I think Christmas lights are so cool. So we drive around and we look at the Christmas lights. And the other day, this is a side, but the other day, we were driving around looking at Christmas lights, and this guy was setting up this really cool tree on his front porch. And I said, we just stop. And I went up and started talking to him about his tree and where he got it. We weren't able to get that tree, but it was a delightful moment. It took us to Home Depot, and it was a delightful moment together, but it was a delightful moment with his wife, not knowing us, invited us in to see her house and how it was decorated for Christmas. Like, I was thinking, I wouldn't do this. But somebody else had the belief that it was expansive enough that she could invite us in safely. And we went, and it was beautiful. And we had about 30 minutes together. And then we hopped in the car and went back to do the next thing on our list. But we had that time of joy because we were open to the delight, to the wonder, to the curiosity of the season. And we were out having fun. Looking to have fun. So what can you create that's magical, that's joyful, that's fun, that's delightful, whatever word you want to put in there? What can you create this Christmas season? I invite you, when you do it, come back and tell us about it. Share it with us, and then you've doubled your fun. Love. It's the core of who we are. The writer of Colossians says, above all, clothe yourself with love. Above all, clothe yourself with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. The woman who invited us into her home clothed herself with love. The graciousness of a friend when we make a mistake is evidence that that person has clothed themselves in love. The willingness to receive love. It takes an understanding and a knowledge of love within ourselves to be able to open to and receive that love. The willingness to open to the magic of Christmas. To get on a train that we have no idea where it's going. To make new friends. To celebrate a season, and to look beyond the beliefs that we hold in this moment to where can we expand ourselves in love and in joy, in peace and in harmony. And how do we do it as our unique, individualized self? Let's take these thoughts into a time of meditation. Think about your first Christmas, the first one you remember. What did you experience? What did you experience? And has that experience been the road that you've been on since then? Or have you taken the opportunities in your life to take a new pathway, to drive on a different road? What from your environment that's not serving you have you continued to maintain? And it happened because you probably didn't have the power in your family to make that change, to say no, but now you do. Now you have the power of choice, the opportunity to honor your yes and your no, the opportunity to live from a place of curiosity and wonder, the wonder of it all. An opportunity to generate and cultivate joy in your life no matter what's going on around you. To be the radiance of joy, the center of joy, the center of love in your life. So that all who come into contact with you feel it. They may not take it on, but they're going to walk away feeling something different from you because you have been the center of love in this season. The beautiful thing about the power of belief is that we use our belief to create our world. What do you want to create for yourself and for others in this holiday season? What do you want to create? Do you need a silent night? Do you need a time to be off by yourself? Don't judge yourself for that. Create it. Do you need something else? What do you need to do to remove the obstacle of love, the obstacle of joy, the obstacle of peace, so that you're flowing freely and in the flow of love, in the flow of joy, and in the flow of peace? There's a saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's up to each of us. It's up to each of us to live fully our capacity to love, to examine our beliefs, and to stand fully in the knowledge of who and what we are. Let yourself have fun this Christmas, this holiday, this time of wonder. So as we begin to return to this room, to this time and this place, feel the expansion of your heart. Feel the desire, and consider one thing that you're going to do today to make a difference in your own life, so that at the end of the day, you can say to yourself, and maybe to some other person who's with you, didn't we have a great day? And this was the best thing that happened to me in this day. And have fun doing it.
I've made this same mistake before. Too many malls, too many stores. December traffic, Christmas rush. They break me till I push and shove. Children are crying while mothers are trying to photograph Santa and sleigh. Shopping and buying and standing forever in line. But what can I say? I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, a little peace right here, to end this crazy day with a silent night. December comes and disappears, faster and faster every year. Did my own mother keep this pace? Was the world a different place, where people stayed home wishing for snow, watching 3 channels on their TV? Look at us now, rushing around trying to buy Christmas peace. I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, a little peace right here, to end this crazy day with a silent night.
If you've been moved, touched, or inspired by anything that you've heard today, we invite you to share your generosity, to give and support this spiritual community that is here solely to support you and to provide community. There's a number of ways to give. We have Venmo. We have a donate button on our website. You can mail a check, and our address is on our website. And if you're in the room, we have a basket in the back. Thank you so much, knowing that divine love prospers you.
And what do you need to make a difference, to do to make a difference in your own life this holiday season? If you have a prayer request, put it in the chat, and I'll come back and answer you on Facebook private message. What do you need to do to clear the way so you are on that train of magic of the Christmas year, so you are truly finding the way for yourself to live from your heart and have fun doing it?
I need a silent night, a holy night, to hear an angel voice through the chaos and the noise. I need a midnight clear, a little peace right here, to end this crazy day with a silent night. To end this crazy day with a silent night.